The world often believes that wars begin with bombs, but in modern geopolitics, wars usually begin quietly. Begin with sanctions, pressure, media narratives, and financial control. The confrontation between the United States and Venezuela is a perfect example of this new kind of war. It is not loud, but it is extremely dangerous. At the center of this story is Venezuela, a country rich in oil but weakened by years of economic pressure. And watching this situation closely is an unexpected leader from Africa, Ibrahim Traore. His message is simple but powerful. What is happening to Venezuela today can happen to Africa tomorrow. This is why this conflict is not only about Latin America, it is a global warning. For more than 2 decades, Venezuela has followed a path independent of Western control. It nationalized its oil industry and rejected foreign dominance over its resources. This decision made Venezuela. The United States, which has long depended on influence over global energy supplies, saw Venezuela as a strategic problem. The US government claims its actions are about democracy and human rights. But Venezuela's leadership argues that the real issue is oil. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Control over this oil means power, economic, political. Under President Nicolás Maduro, Venezuela faced heavy sanctions. These sanctions restricted trade, blocked access to global banking systems, and froze national assets abroad. Over time, the Venezuelan economy collapsed. Inflation exploded, shortages increased. Ordinary citizens suffered the most. What is important to understand is this: no war was declared, but this is economic. The United States did not need to invade Venezuela. It used financial tools, global institutions, and diplomatic pressure. This is modern chess. One side controls the board without firing a single shot. This is exactly why Ibrahim Traore started paying attention. Traore looks at Venezuela and sees Africa's past, and possibly its. Africa is rich in oil, gold, uranium, lithium, and rare earth minerals. Yet many African countries remain poor, unstable, and dependent on foreign systems. Traore believes this is not an accident. He argues that whenever a nation tries to control its own resources, external pressure follows. Sanctions come first. Then international media paints the leadership as dangerous or incompetent. Then internal instability grows. Finally, foreign influence returns stronger than before. According to Traore, Venezuela is not a failure. Venezuela is a lesson. He warns African leaders that sovereignty without economic independence is meaningless. A flag and a national anthem do not protect a country. Control over resources, trade, currency, and security does. Traore's rise in Burkina Faso happened during growing frustration with foreign interference in Africa. Many Africans feel that their nations gained political independence, but never achieved economic freedom. Foreign companies still control mines. Foreign currencies still dominate trade. Foreign militaries still operate on African soil. Traore openly challenges this system. When he speaks about Venezuela, he is not defending a government. He is exposing a strategy. He says the same playbook has been used repeatedly in Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. The chessboard always looks the same. The pieces change, but the moves do not. The first move is isolation. A country is cut off from global markets. Its currency weakens. Its people suffer. The second move is narrative control. International media focuses on corruption, failure, and chaos, rarely on sanctions or foreign pressure. The third move is internal. Economic pain creates unrest. Opposition groups are encouraged and funded. Finally, the country is forced to surrender control or collapse. Traore says Africa must study Venezuela carefully because Africa is next in line. The world is entering a new phase where resources matter more than ever. Electric vehicles, renewable energy, and modern technology all depend on minerals that Africa has in abundance. This makes Africa extremely valuable and extremely volatile. Traore believes the solution is not emotional speeches or hatred toward the West. He calls for strategy, unity, and long-term planning. He says African nations must trade with each other, build regional financial systems, and reduce dependence on the US dollar. He supports military self-reliance, not for aggression, but for... He also stresses one uncomfortable truth. Relying on foreign protection always comes at a price. That price is often paid years later when a country tries to say no. Venezuela said no. The cost was... The US-Venezuela conflict shows how power works in the modern world. Tanks are not always needed. Control of money, trade, and... This is why Traoré says the battlefield of the future is economic. The global south, the stakes are higher than ever. Countries must choose between comfort and control, short-term aid or long-term independence, silent. There is no neutral position in this game. Traoré's message is not anti-American. It is anti-dependency. He believes no nation should be punished for controlling its own resources. He believes true peace comes from balance, not dominance. He reminds the world that history does not repeat itself exactly, but it often. Venezuela is not the end of this story. It is the warning chapter. Africa, Latin America, and Asia are now at the center of global politics. Next moves on the chessboard are already being prepared. The question is simple. Will the Global South learn from Venezuela, or will it become the next example? If you want next, I can. Add cinematic pauses plus background music cues. Convert this into a documentary.